The ritual of science, observation, subverted by authority. In most classrooms, the student is presented with a carefully curated narrative, a theory is stated, an experiment is performed, and the outcome is said to confirm what was already dictated. This is not science. It is ritual. It is a scripted performance designed not to uncover reality, but to validate the authority of those who dictate the theory. The inversion is striking. The tools of empirical investigation, beakers, electrodes, thermometers, balances, are repurposed from instruments of discovery into instruments of compliance. The student is no longer a discoverer. The student becomes an actor, executing a preordained choreography in which success is measured not by insight, but by obedience. Consider the common example of electrolysis in a high school laboratory. Students are given a theoretical description of water splitting into hydrogen and oxygen, then instructed to construct a simple apparatus, 2 electrodes in water with an applied current. Bubbles rise, gas is collected, and occasionally a flame confirms that hydrogen burns, oxygen supports combustion. The ritual is complete. The experiment validates the teacher's authority. The reality of what occurs, the tactile sensation of bubbles, the behavior of gases, the heat, the ignition, is secondary. Observation is subordinated to a narrative. This is not harmless pedagogy. It is a systemic reinforcement of epistemic authority. By dictating theory first, schools train students to prioritize confirmation over discovery, to value the written word above sensory evidence, to see experimentation as a ceremonial act rather than a means of interrogation. Knowledge becomes hierarchical. The authority of theory is unquestionable, while first-hand observation is merely supplementary. A truly descriptive approach would invert this ritual. It would start with the phenomena, bubbles forming at electrodes, the sound and heat of ignition, the rising gas, the displacement of water. Only after careful, repeated observation would labels or tentative explanations emerge, and these labels would be provisional, descriptive, and accountable to evidence. This is the method of trial and error empiricism, the method that predates formalized chemistry and physics. Observe first, name second. The ritualized approach also hides the socio-economic scaffolding of experimentation. To meaningfully explore phenomena requires materials, equipment, and safety, capital, and time that are systematically withheld from the majority. Students are given toy experiments under controlled conditions, sufficient to illustrate pre-packaged theory, but insufficient to genuinely investigate or scale the observations. The lesson is not discovery, it is compliance, teaching the mind to accept authority as a proxy for truth. The consequence is predictable. Students emerge believing that experimentation is only a ceremonial confirmation of what they are told. Curiosity is subordinated to hierarchy. First-hand insight is subordinated to sanctioned theory. Real inquiry, the kind that could challenge entrenched assumptions or reveal new possibilities, is trained out of the system. The inversion is radical in its simplicity. The method of science is turned against the observer, and the observer is trained to perform rituals that validate authority rather than reality. To witness a phenomenon, to record it, to measure and manipulate it without preconceived labels, is treated as dangerous or idiosyncratic. To obey the scripted experiment is rewarded. Breaking this ritual requires reclaiming observation as the primary authority. It requires experimentation as discovery, not performance. It requires labeling phenomena descriptively, in terms of what can be directly sensed and measured without premature appeals to theory. Brown's gas, bubbles, flame, heat, displacement, these are the realities accessible to the student's senses. Their behavior is knowledge in its purest form, independent of the authority that seeks to sanitize and predefine it. The inversion exposes a deeper truth. Ritualized science education does not merely teach theory. It trains epistemic submission. It conditions the mind to accept authority as proxy for understanding, to value ceremonial compliance over sensory evidence. Descriptive, trial and error inquiry is subversive because it threatens this hierarchy. It restores the observer to the center, where knowledge is created by interaction with reality, not bestowed by decree. In conclusion, the ritual of confirmation experiments is not science. It is authority theater masquerading as knowledge acquisition. True experimentation, observation, measurement, repeated trial and descriptive accounting is the method that predates and subverts ritual. Reclaiming this method is not merely pedagogical, it is epistemological resistance. a way to make knowledge firsthand, observable, and independent of those who would use ceremony to command belief.